What if I told you that right now, inside your body, rivers of divine intelligence are flowing, and that with the words you speak, you can command your own blood to heal, renew, and restore every cell? What if your voice held the very vibration of life itself, the power to change your health, your strength, and your destiny? Stay with me, because before this message ends, you will know exactly how to speak to your blood. And when you do, your body will obey. There is a power flowing within you right now that you may have never spoken to. It is not outside you. It is not waiting in some distant heaven. It is in your blood. Every drop of it carries the spark of the infinite. Within that spark lies memory, intelligence, and creative force. Your blood is not a silent liquid. It listens, it feels, it responds. When you speak, it vibrates with the tone of your words. When you declare life, it begins to organize itself around that declaration. When you speak weakness or fear, it obeys that too. The rivers within you are tuned to your voice. You have spoken to others all your life, but today you must learn to speak to yourself. Not with idle words, but with living words, words that pierce into your bloodstream and awaken the divine physician within. Each morning when you rise, your heart begins to beat, sending life through your veins. What if with your first breath, you send a command to your blood? You are pure. You are strong. You are the light of health. Flow with divine harmony through every organ of my being. Imagine that every pulse carried that message to your brain, your lungs, your heart, your skin. This is not imagination alone. This is creation in motion. The mind is the captain, the body is the vessel, and the blood is the ocean that carries every command. When you say, I am filled with divine vitality, you are not merely speaking hope. You are transmitting a frequency that reorganizes your inner chemistry. Every molecule listens and obeys. Science tells us that cells react to energy and intention. But ancient wisdom tells us something greater. That thought clothed in faith becomes law within the body. So many people speak words of defeat to their own blood without realizing it. They say, I am tired. I am weak. I am sick. These are not harmless phrases. They are instructions. They are decrees written into the living waters of your being. Your blood rushes to obey, slowing its rhythm, reducing its light, matching the vibration of your belief. But when you awaken and begin to speak life, when you say, my blood flows with divine order, every cell in me is alive with health and strength, you reverse the current. You command the river to flow in the direction of wholeness. You see, your subconscious mind is the laboratory of life. It never questions, it never argues. It only executes the order given. When you speak to your blood with conviction, the subconscious carries your word like a divine seed into the field of your cells. Soon, new growth begins, tissues repair, organs renew, vitality returns. This is why your words must be sacred. They are not noise. They are commands to the temple of your body. Close your eyes and imagine your blood as radiant light. See it flowing through your veins like golden rivers. See it touching every cell with renewal. Say within yourself, every drop of blood in me is divine substance. It knows its source. It flows in perfect harmony with the law of life. As you affirm this truth, you are not begging for healing. You are awakening it. The power was already within you, waiting for your command. Your body is not your enemy. It is your obedient servant. Your blood is not polluted by destiny. It is directed by belief. When you learn to speak to it with love, gratitude, and authority, it begins to reflect the music of your spirit. It becomes pure, vital, and strong. Remember, you are not a victim of biology. You are the voice that shapes it. So from this moment forward, watch the words you speak about your health, your energy, your life. Let your speech be filled with faith. Let your blood hear only the language of life. Speak to it daily. Speak to it with joy. Speak to it with the authority of divine law. And as you do, the miracle within you will unfold, silently and surely, through the sacred rivers of your blood. Every word that proceeds from your mouth carries a vibration, a pulse, an invisible pattern of energy that flows through the air and settles deep within the body. When you speak, you are not merely producing sound. You are releasing forces that touch every particle of your being. The blood that moves within you listens and responds to the authority of your voice. It carries your thoughts, your beliefs, your declarations, and spreads them through every cell, every nerve, every organ. The truth that many never realize is that your words are not just expressions. They are commands. Every time you say, "I am," you are giving an order to your body, an order that your blood must obey. The words you choose become the script your cells perform. If you declare weakness, your body bends under that decree. If you speak strength, vitality, and power, your body begins to reorganize itself to manifest those qualities. The vibration of your voice becomes a signal, a frequency that your blood interprets as instruction. It carries that instruction to the farthest corner of your physical form, whispering to the tissues, telling them what to do, how to act, how to align with the image in your mind. Your blood is not a mechanical liquid. It is a living consciousness that communicates with every part of you. The words you speak penetrate into the intelligence of your blood, shaping it, energizing it, or draining it depending on what you give it to carry. When you say, "I am tired," your blood slows its rhythm, your heart loses its vigor, and your cells echo the message of fatigue. But when you speak, "I am alive with divine energy," something begins to shift within you. The molecules in your bloodstream awaken, as if remembering their true design. The cells begin to align with vitality, not because of magic, but because energy follows attention. Your word is attention made audible. It directs the flow of life like a river changing its course according to the terrain it is given. Each syllable you utter becomes an impulse that your nervous system receives and transmits throughout the body, reshaping the pattern of energy in every system that sustains you. Most people live unaware of this power. They speak carelessly, not knowing that their words are planting seeds in the soil of their own flesh. They speak of illness, and illness finds a home. They repeat phrases of limitation, and wonder why their strength fades. The law of life is that whatever you impress upon the mind through feeling and repetition becomes expressed through form. Your blood is the messenger of that law. It does not reason. It does not argue. It simply carries out the order given. That is why those who learn to speak life over themselves rise above what seems to be natural law. They awaken a higher order, a divine intelligence that flows within and begins to reorganize every function of the body toward wholeness. Every ancient spiritual tradition has spoken of the creative word, the living word, the word that became flesh. This truth was not poetry. It was a revelation of how thought becomes substance. When you speak consciously, knowing that your voice carries creative power, you participate in this divine process. Your blood becomes the instrument of that creation. It carries the rhythm of your faith, the melody of your conviction, and translates it into chemical and electrical changes that produce harmony or discord, depending on the song you sing. The tone of your voice, the emotion behind your words, the image you hold while speaking. All of these form a trinity of creation within you. There is an unseen dialogue taking place in your body every moment. The mind sends signals to the cells, and the blood delivers the message. When you speak aloud, you amplify that communication. You intensify the command. Your words are vibrations that resonate through the bones, through the tissues, through the fluids. The sound of your own voice is the most familiar and influential sound to your subconscious mind. It hears you even when you whisper. It records every statement and begins to shape your biology to match the pattern of your language. The phrase, "speak to your blood," is not metaphorical. It is literal, for your blood responds to language, tone, and belief with measurable shifts in its flow and energy. Think for a moment of the way fear changes your pulse, or how anger heats your blood, or how joy brings warmth to your face. These are not coincidences, they are demonstrations of how emotion, thought, and word instantly affect your physiology. If words of fear can constrict your vessels, words of faith can open them. If negative speech can create imbalance, positive speech can restore harmony. The difference lies in the awareness with which you speak. When you realize that your voice carries authority over your own life stream, you will no longer use it to declare anything contrary to your well-being. You will guard your words as sacred tools, as instruments of transformation. To speak to your blood with purpose is to communicate directly with the divine intelligence that sustains you. When you say, "My blood flows with perfect rhythm and balance," you are not imagining something unreal. You are awakening a pattern that already exists in the blueprint of life. Your words call it forth. Your faith gives it energy. Your repetition fixes it in the subconscious mind until it becomes the new normal for your body. Every day, you can choose to speak power, peace, and vitality into the bloodstream, to command it to remember its origin in the life force that never weakens and never dies. This is why it is said that life and death are in the power of the tongue. The words you speak become the instructions your blood follows. They circulate through your veins, affecting how energy is distributed, how healing occurs, how quickly you recover, how deeply you rest. Your words can quicken the pulse of life within you or dull it into stagnation. The mind may doubt, but the body never does. It only obeys. Speak life, and your blood carries life. Speak strength, and it flows with strength. Speak peace, and it calms every storm within. When you begin to live with this understanding, you realize that every conversation is a form of creation. When you speak to yourself, you are programming your inner world. When you speak to others, you extend that influence outward. The vibration of your words lingers in your body and in your environment. Your blood becomes an echo of your speech, constantly broadcasting the state of your consciousness. You become a living transmitter of the energy you project through language. Your words command your cells, because sound is the first movement of creation. Before there was form, there was vibration. Before there was light, there was the word. And that same principle operates in you. You are the creator of your inner universe, shaping it with each declaration you make. The blood that flows through your heart is the river of your spoken word made alive, carrying your intentions into manifestation. Every thought clothed in speech becomes a seed planted in the living soil of your being, and your blood is the gardener that nourishes it until it bears fruit. The choice is always before you, to speak weakness or strength, decay or renewal, fear or faith. Each word begins a chain reaction that your body must fulfill. If you wish to live in harmony, speak harmony. If you desire health, speak health. If you long for divine energy, speak to your blood, and tell it what it is meant to be. The creative life within you is waiting for your command, listening for your voice, ready to obey the word that gives it direction. Faith is the unseen chemistry that transforms invisible thought into living substance. When a person speaks words with conviction, with the full emotion of belief behind them, something extraordinary begins to occur within the inner workings of the body. The tone of the voice, the confidence of the heart, and the image held in the mind generate a frequency that moves through the bloodstream like an electric current. Every molecule of blood carries that energy, distributing it to every cell, every tissue, every organ. This is not imagination or superstition. It is the operation of the spiritual law that governs life. The body is not separate from consciousness. It listens, it feels, and it mirrors the emotional and mental atmosphere in which it exists. When faith saturates the words spoken, Those words penetrate the depths of the subconscious mind, and the subconscious mind converts them into the chemistry of healing. Faith does not mean hoping vaguely that something good will happen. It is the deep knowing that life responds to your belief. When faith is present, words gain substance. They become alive, charged with the very power that shapes matter. When a person declares, "I am whole," with absolute conviction, the cells begin to reorganize themselves around that declaration. The blood vibrates differently. The rhythms of the heart, the currents of the nerves, the pulse of the organs begin to harmonize with the tone of certainty. Faith is not merely a feeling. It is an energy that rearranges the internal structure of the body to match the command it has received. Every element within you listens for direction, and faith gives that direction its authority. There is a remarkable relationship between emotion and chemistry. When a person experiences fear, their blood changes. When they experience joy, it changes again. The hormones shift, the heartbeat alters, the immune system responds. These physical changes are the evidence of the body's obedience to the inner state of belief. Faith carries a specific vibration that releases harmony, balance, and renewal throughout the system. Doubt produces confusion and imbalance. Faith produces order and vitality. When you speak words of health and strength, while believing deeply that they are true, you generate a pattern of energy that your body translates into healing impulses. The bloodstream becomes charged with light and intelligence, carrying the message of wholeness to every cell it touches. The ancient teachers understood this principle and called it the word of power. They knew that speech backed by faith could transform a life, because sound is the bridge between the invisible and the visible. The voice is the instrument through which the soul expresses its command. When that command is filled with faith, it becomes irresistible to the subconscious mind. The subconscious does not distinguish between physical and spiritual truth. It only receives the impression of belief and begins to act upon it. It alters the functions of the body to mirror the tone of the inner conviction. The chemistry of healing is faith in motion. Faith expressed as energy that reorganizes the living structure of the body into harmony with the spoken word. In the silence of thought, belief begins as a seed. When that seed is watered with emotion and expressed through speech, it becomes a creative force. The very cells that sustain your life begin to feel the vibration of what you have declared. Faith is the ingredient that gives the spoken word its vitality. Without faith, words remain surface sounds, carrying little influence. But when faith ignites them, they become living currents that flow through the bloodstream, restoring balance, renewing tissue, awakening strength that may have been dormant for years. The chemistry of the body is sensitive to the emotional and mental field in which it exists. Faith creates a field of coherence, an invisible harmony that causes the physical elements to align with the ideal image held in the mind. The power of faith is not found in loudness or repetition. It is found in inner certainty. Even a single whisper spoken with deep knowing can move mountains within the human form. The reason is simple: the subconscious mind obeys feeling, not volume. When the feeling of faith accompanies a word, the entire inner system recognizes it as law. It begins to produce corresponding effects at once. The blood, being the carrier of life, becomes infused with the frequency of that faith. It begins to circulate with renewed vigor, cleansing, rebuilding, and vitalizing as it moves. What medical science calls self-healing is, in truth, the body obeying the faith commands of the spirit. The invisible chemistry of belief manifests as the visible chemistry of life. Observe the difference between two people who face the same challenge. One repeats words of fear, "I am sick, I am weak." The other speaks words of faith, "I am strong, I am whole." Their bodies respond accordingly, because the language of faith and fear are not equal vibrations. Fear constricts energy, slows circulation, reduces the flow of life. Faith expands energy, increases circulation, multiplies vitality. The blood of the fearful carries tension and stagnation. The blood of the faithful carries rhythm and light. The two may appear similar from the outside, but inwardly they are worlds apart. One's chemistry reflects disorder, the other reflects divine order. The difference is the chemistry of belief. Every word you speak with faith activates a series of reactions in the nervous system and endocrine glands. The body begins to produce the substances that correspond to your inner state. Words of peace bring soothing chemicals. Words of courage release strengthening ones. When faith fills your heart, you literally become a laboratory of divine healing. Your body creates the exact conditions that correspond to the conviction you hold. Your blood becomes a carrier of faith, moving through the body as a messenger of divine law. The cells drink it in, absorbing its signal, and in response, they renew their function. You may call this a miracle, but it is simply the natural operation of faith upon matter. Faith has a fragrance, a color, a tone that the inner intelligence of the body recognizes instantly. It is like sunlight to a seed. Just as the seed cannot grow without light, the body cannot fully heal without faith. Words are the medium, but faith is the activating energy that gives them power to create. You could speak 1,000 affirmations without change, if there is no conviction behind them. But a single statement filled with unshakable faith carries more power than a lifetime of doubt. When you say, "My blood is pure and strong," with deep inner knowing, your subconscious accepts it as truth, and begins to command the organs of the body to manifest it. The change may be gradual or sudden, but it will come because the law of faith never fails. Within the human being there is a perfect pattern of health, an ideal image of wholeness, that exists in the divine blueprint of life. Faith is the bridge that connects you with that pattern. When you speak words of power with faith, you open the channel for that ideal to flow into manifestation. The blood becomes the highway of transformation, carrying that ideal throughout the body. The cells receive new instructions, the tissues respond, the organs regain their divine rhythm. Faith turns the invisible truth of perfection into the visible fact of health. Every affirmation becomes a living decree, every prayer a command that the life within rushes to fulfill. Faith is the chemistry of healing, because it unites thought, feeling, and energy into one harmonious vibration. It removes resistance, dissolves fear, and allows the current of divine life to flow without obstruction. The moment faith enters the word becomes law to the body. It carries authority, and the blood listens. It is the difference between saying words and releasing power. Faith transforms ordinary speech into living energy that changes the rhythm of the heartbeat, the brightness of the eyes, the radiance of the skin. It creates alignment between the seen and the unseen, between spirit and flesh, between mind and matter. And in that alignment, healing begins to take form, silently, steadily, irresistibly, through the chemistry of faith flowing in the blood. The subconscious mind is the silent architect of the body, the invisible intelligence that governs every process of life, without effort or awareness. It beats the heart, circulates the blood, regenerates the cells, and maintains the balance of every organ. Yet this hidden power does not act independently. It takes instruction from the conscious mind, and the language it understands is the language of word and image. Every thought you think and every word you speak is a message written upon the subconscious, and it immediately begins to translate that message into biological action. When you speak to yourself, you are speaking to the builder within. When you speak with emotion, that builder moves with greater speed and power, because feeling is the ink that writes upon the subconscious surface. The subconscious does not judge or reason, it accepts. It receives every statement as truth, and works tirelessly to bring it into expression. If you continually tell yourself that you are weak, it organizes your bodily functions to match that belief. If you affirm that you are strong and vital, it directs energy and regeneration to manifest that reality. This is the hidden law behind every healing miracle and every decline in health. The body simply mirrors the dominant instruction it receives from the mind. Words charged with emotion penetrate deeper than idle speech. They leave impressions that shape the inner design of life. The subconscious is like fertile soil, and your words are the seeds. Whatever seed you plant with feeling will inevitably take root and grow in the field of your experience. From the moment you wake to the moment you sleep, the subconscious listens. It listens to your self-talk, your prayers, your doubts, and your fears. It listens not only to words spoken aloud, but to the silent phrases that repeat in the privacy of your thoughts. It listens to the images you hold in imagination, for pictures are the language of the soul. Every image held with emotion becomes an instruction, and the subconscious mind begins to move heaven and earth to fulfill it. It does not argue or resist, it simply obeys. This is why awareness of your internal dialogue is so vital. The words you habitually use form the blueprint your subconscious follows, and that blueprint becomes the architecture of your physical condition. When you say, "I am healing," the subconscious receives it as an order, and begins to direct blood flow, nerve impulses, and cellular activity toward regeneration. When you say, "I am failing," the same process works in reverse, diverting energy away from vitality. The subconscious translates every statement into corresponding chemistry. It sends signals to the glands, alters hormone levels, adjusts heart rate and breathing, and changes the rhythm of the blood. The invisible realm of thought and belief thus becomes the visible reality of flesh and sensation. This is why the body changes according to what the mind consistently declares. It cannot do otherwise, because it is built to obey. Visualization is the companion of spoken word, in the language of the subconscious. The images you form while you speak multiply the effect of your words. When you see yourself whole, radiant, and strong, you give your subconscious a clear pattern to follow. It uses that image as a mold, and begins to shape the physical substance of your body into its likeness. The clearer and more emotionally charged the image, the faster the manifestation. Words give direction, images give form. Together they create the complete command that the subconscious turns into biological fact. When you combine a spoken affirmation with a vivid visualization, you are writing a living program into the system of your body. Every healer who has ever worked through the power of mind understood, whether consciously or intuitively, that the subconscious must be impressed with a definite idea of health. They spoke to the patient's inner mind, not to the surface mind. They used words of life, symbols of wholeness, and tones of assurance to bypass resistance and reach the receptive part of consciousness that creates without question. The moment the subconscious accepted the new idea, the body began to change. This is the reason why suggestion, prayer, and affirmation have produced results that defy ordinary explanation. The cause is unseen, but the effect is visible in the restoration of balance and harmony. Consider how easily the body responds to imagination. If you imagine a sour taste, your mouth fills with saliva. If you imagine fear, your heart races. If you imagine warmth, your body temperature rises. These are immediate demonstrations of the subconscious obeying mental imagery. It does not differentiate between what is imagined and what is real. It simply acts upon the image, as if it were reality. The same law governs healing. When you imagine your blood glowing with light, your organs functioning perfectly, your strength returning with every breath, your subconscious accepts that image as fact and begins to coordinate the physical processes necessary to make it visible. This creative relationship between the conscious and subconscious mind has been called many names: faith, suggestion, belief, law of mind. But it is one and the same power operating through different levels of awareness. The conscious mind chooses what to believe. The subconscious makes that belief real in the body. You are therefore both the director and the performer in the theater of your life. The conscious mind gives the script. The subconscious plays it out through sensation, emotion, and physical form. The blood is the stage upon which that drama unfolds, carrying the influence of every word to the remotest cell. When you begin to understand this process, you realize that there is no separation between mental and physical. The so-called boundary between mind and body is an illusion. They are two aspects of one life expressing through different dimensions. The thought is the invisible cause, the body is the visible effect. Change the cause, and the effect must change. When you consistently speak words of health, beauty, and vitality, you are reprogramming the subconscious language of the body. Over time, this new language becomes the dominant vibration, and the physical form begins to mirror it naturally. Healing then appears effortless, because it arises from alignment with the law of creation, rather than struggle against it. The subconscious does not require elaborate rituals or complex formulas. It responds to simplicity, clarity, and emotion. When you speak to it directly, without doubt or hesitation, it moves at once to fulfill your command. The best time to impress it is when the conscious mind is quiet. Upon waking, before sleep, or during deep relaxation, because in those moments the gate between the two levels of mind is open. Then a single affirmation spoken with feeling can reach the core of your being. Say to yourself, "Divine life is now flowing through my blood." Every cell hears me and responds. Feel the reality of it. See the light moving through your veins. Know that the subconscious is listening, and it will act upon that image, as surely as the sun causes a seed to sprout. The subconscious language of the body is also influenced by repetition. Each time you repeat a truth, you deepen its impression until it becomes automatic. The body then begins to act according to the new pattern, without conscious effort. This is how habits of health and strength are formed. Just as negative self-talk creates patterns of disease, positive self-suggestion creates patterns of vitality. You become what you repeatedly declare yourself to be. The subconscious cannot resist consistency. It eventually accepts any idea that is impressed upon it long enough and strongly enough. Within this understanding lies immense responsibility and freedom. You can no longer speak carelessly, for every word is a command to the invisible builder of your life. Every phrase becomes a blueprint, every thought a seed. By learning to communicate deliberately with the subconscious, you gain mastery over the processes that once seemed mysterious. You become the conscious author of your physical state, the director of the invisible orchestra that performs the symphony of your health. The subconscious hears you always, translating your inner language into the outer expression of your body and your life. To speak life daily is to awaken the creative law that governs existence, and to consciously align yourself with the rhythm of divine vitality, flowing through every part of your being. Each morning, as breath returns to your body, a choice stands before you to speak words that lift, strengthen, and heal, or to speak words that drain, weaken, and destroy. Most people speak without awareness, repeating phrases of limitation that anchor them in fatigue and struggle. But one who understands the sacred science of speech knows that every word is a seed of creation, and that when spoken with conviction, it germinates in the fertile soil of the subconscious mind and blossoms into lived experience. The habit of speaking life daily is not a shallow exercise of positive thinking. It is the deliberate training of consciousness to remain aligned with truth, harmony, and divine order. Your words carry the power to renew your blood, to strengthen your nerves, to calm your heart, to regulate your energy, and to restore balance to every system in your body. When you wake each day and declare, Life flows through me now. Strength fills me. Peace governs me. Divine order is established within me. You are not merely saying beautiful sentences. You are sending direct commands into the invisible intelligence that animates your being. Your blood hears those words and vibrates with their frequency. The subconscious accepts them as instructions, and the body begins to organize itself to reflect them. Speaking life daily trains the inner forces to respond automatically to the voice of truth rather than the voice of fear. Over time, the language of faith becomes natural, and the vibration of health becomes constant. To speak life daily is to take dominion over the atmosphere of your inner world. Every word creates either harmony or discord, and the repetition of those words determines the quality of your days. The person who wakes each morning with words of complaint establishes a vibration of resistance and carries that vibration throughout the day. Their energy feels heavy, their emotions unbalanced, their mind easily disturbed. But the one who begins the morning with words of gratitude and power opens the channels of divine energy. Their blood flows freely, their thoughts remain clear, and their emotions align with peace. The same sunlight shines on both, but the inner response differs, because the inner speech differs. Words are the invisible architects of mood, strength, and vitality. The daily practice of speaking life does not depend on circumstances. It is not an act of denial but of mastery. To say, "I am strong," when you feel weak is not lying to yourself. It is affirming the deeper truth, that strength is your natural state. The body may temporarily show signs of imbalance, but the spirit remains whole. When you affirm life, you call the body back into alignment with that wholeness. The spoken word acts like a tuning fork, bringing every cell back to its original frequency of health. Even in moments of fatigue, when your energy seems low, speaking words of vitality reminds your subconscious of its divine blueprint. It then begins to draw upon the inexhaustible reservoir of life that flows from the source, translating that spiritual substance into renewed physical energy. The power of this daily practice lies in consistency. Just as the body requires food each day, the mind requires nourishment through words of faith. A single affirmation may spark inspiration, but repeated affirmations establish a lasting vibration. The subconscious learns through repetition, and every time you speak words of life, you deepen the groove of belief within it. Eventually, those words become automatic, rising from within you even when you are not consciously affirming them. You begin to think life, feel life, and radiate life in every situation. This is how transformation becomes permanent, through the steady, rhythmic practice of speaking truth until it becomes flesh. To speak life daily is to engage in a partnership with the divine intelligence that breathes through you. You become a conscious participant in creation, rather than a passive observer of events. Each time you open your mouth, you are shaping your reality. If your words are careless, your life becomes scattered. If your words are deliberate, your life becomes ordered. The body follows the mind, and the mind follows the word. The word is the first cause of all expression. Therefore, to master the word is to master the body, the emotions, and the environment. When your speech aligns with truth, your entire being resonates with the harmony of creation. This practice extends beyond moments of meditation or prayer. To truly speak life daily means to let every conversation become an extension of your divine awareness. It means replacing idle gossip, criticism, and complaint with words of blessing, encouragement, and peace. When you speak kindly of others, your body benefits, for the vibration of kindness expands your energy field and strengthens your heart. When you speak harshly or negatively, your own energy contracts, and your blood carries that discord. Every word you release returns to you multiplied in kind. Speaking life daily, therefore, becomes a discipline of self, love, and spiritual hygiene. It keeps your inner atmosphere clean, and your outer life aligned with harmony. Your voice carries a signature tone unique to you, and that tone has the power to heal. When you speak words of life with sincerity, the vibration of your voice penetrates your cells. Sound moves through matter, and your body is a vast ocean of vibration. Every declaration you make sends ripples through that ocean. When those ripples are harmonious, they restore coherence to the body's systems. The cells begin to communicate more effectively. The nervous system relaxes. The immune response strengthens. Science may describe this as the regulation of stress hormones, or the activation of parasympathetic responses, but beneath the language of physiology lies the same ancient truth. Your words shape your energy, and your energy shapes your health. There will be times when circumstances tempt you to speak contrary to life. Pain may try to force its way into your words. Fear may whisper that faith is futile. In those moments, speaking life becomes both shield and sword. You affirm, not because you see the evidence, but because you know the law. You declare life in the midst of darkness, because the act of declaration summons light. The more consistently you practice this, the more natural it becomes. You begin to live in a state of continual affirmation, where every breath, every thought, every whisper reinforces your union with divine vitality. This is the discipline of the awakened one, to let the word of life dwell richly within, and flow effortlessly outward. To speak life daily is to claim your creative authority. It is to stand as a conscious center of divine energy, using the sacred instrument of speech to direct that energy into form. Your blood becomes brighter, your eyes clearer, your mind calmer, not because of chance, but because you have chosen to cooperate with the law of creation. Each day becomes a fresh opportunity to renew your command, to remind your inner world of its perfection, and to affirm that only life, strength, and harmony have power within you. The universe listens to your word through the medium of your blood, and your blood listens through the echo of your faith. The more faithfully you speak life, the more life responds, until every cell sings the same eternal song of divine vitality, flowing endlessly through you,